Let me know when on. Good?
One's on, you're good.
All right, yo. What up, everybody? Let me know if you can hear me. I'm gonna let everybody flood in right now. Word, you guys can hear me? Perfect. Yo, I just minimized the screen. Can you pull? So I just minimized the screen on the TV. Can you pull it back up on the?
Is it Google Chrome?
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah, there we go. Just waiting on everybody to flood in, guys. Yo, what time zone you guys in? Where are you tuning in from? Go ahead and comment. And real quick, while we're letting everybody flood in, and you guys are letting us know where you're coming from, just wanted to let you guys know and remind you guys, the LA event, the Inner Circle event, is going down next Saturday and Sunday in LA. The details are gonna be like the full details are gonna be sent out this week. So if you're already going to the event, comment right now saying "see you at the event." I just want to kind of get a little heads up of who's gonna be here. But there's only 11 tickets left for people inside of the Inner Circle. We did the call, the webinar or whatever, sold some to people on our following. That sold out pretty quickly. So there's 11 tickets left. So if you guys want to go to the LA event, you want to meet us, you want to meet other people from the Inner Circle, we're going to have over, I want to say 8, 9 different, speakers and entrepreneurs there that you guys can be able to network with, hear from, ask questions. Real estate, Amazon, Shopify. My buddy Dan DeSilva is going to be there. Nick Lovano is going to be there. Tommy Rodriguez, the Amazon guy, is going to be there. Everybody's pretty much going to be there. So there's going to be a lot of people coming to this LA event next weekend. So if you want to go, the link is in the description. The link, you guys had it for a while. There's going to be 11 seats left for this event. Okay, looks like most of you guys are already going. Awesome. Yeah, it looks like pretty much everybody in here is going. Dope. All right, so got close to 70 people on here, so we'll go ahead and get this thing started. So the person I'm about to bring on right now, a lot of you guys have been wanting to learn about Shopify, learn about dropshipping, learn about how to make money online with Shopify. So I'm bringing on Hayden Bowles. He is, what are you, 17 now, 18? 18? I still think you're 16 for some reason, man. But an 18-year-old entrepreneur. Is it freezing or what happened?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay. 18-year-old entrepreneur, Shopify expert, absolutely killing it. One of the most consistent guys I know when it comes to building his business, and as well as building his brand on YouTube. You're at close to 90,000 subs yet?
Yeah, we're gonna hit 90 like this week.
Have you ever missed any uploads?
One because YouTube fucked up. That's the only one that lasts 365 days.
Okay, so in an entire year, he's missed one day when it comes to putting out content on YouTube, which is absolutely insane. So he obviously carries that same consistency with his business, which allows him to excel. So one of the one of the more relevant guys when it comes to Shopify advice on YouTube right now, and he's doing a ton of other stuff, getting into like software and stuff like that now, right? So what was your biggest month, if you don't mind me asking?
300.
So 300,000 at 18 years old, absolutely killing it. Just moved down here. He was traveling the world, living in different countries and shit. And now he's finally back in here, right down the street actually. So I'm excited to introduce him. So he's gonna come in here. He's gonna give you guys all the information, step A to step Z, as much as he can within next hour and a half for Shopify. And then feel free to ask questions. I recommend try to get to most of the questions at the end, but like maybe just look at them so you kind of have a little rough idea. Yeah. So he has a solid outline already. He's already prepared. So give your guys full attention to Hayden. Make sure you're taking notes. And again, if you haven't got a ticket for the LA event, the link is in the description of this video. And there's 11 seats left. So let's get this thing going.
What's good? Yeah. Justin, Jesse, Kyle. What's good?
In the building.
Yeah, we got some fire. Don't show them too much what's on the board.
Can't see that.
Justin, what's up? Shannon, Christian, King, Kyle, what's up? Been following for so long. Hey, I appreciate that, Kyle. Can you check out my Shopify store? Maybe we'll do some reviews at the end. So stick in until the end. I got you. Ad season. You see it on the shirt. Hey, from Minnesota as well. Alec, that's what's up. I'm actually going back there to surprise the family. So shh, don't tell them. Maya, Jack, Danny, Owen. What's up? What's up? All right, I don't know if they can see this. We'll start going through this, what's on the board in a second. So you guys can ignore that. I don't know exactly where everyone is at, with their skill level. I'm sure we got all sorts of different people inside here. So if you guys want to go ahead, drop a comment. Let me know if you guys are even doing Shopify, if you've thought of it. A lot of the stuff we're going to talk about is with finding products as well as a lot with Facebook ads. So even if you guys run an agency, which I'll explain is something I do now as well, you can use these principles for marketing with that. Which camera do I look? There's you guys got a crazy setup. Cool. Camera, yeah. All right, yeah, so if you guys want to drop, some people saying, Christian, nope, not at all. Thinking about starting advanced tips. We're going to get into that with Facebook, okay? So if you guys are doing anything else marketing-wise, Facebook is huge. That's what I focus on. I used to do a lot with Instagram influencers. We'll go through that as well. But I'm going to focus on the very current stuff that you guys can use to make money today. I use WordPress with WooCommerce. Okay, Dom. So using another, platform for that, even if you're selling something on, your own custom coded website, it's the same thing, because whether you're doing a digital product or a physical product as well, there's still research pieces that have to go into it. And then with the marketing, that's everything. No matter what kind of product you're doing, again, digital or physical, a lot of what we do with e-commerce, I sell all physical products. So we got Shanishka just starting out. Jacob going to Shopify for 2 months. Perfect. Doing 1 to 2K a day right now on Facebook. Carlos, that's what's up. Can definitely scale that. You got the data. Ted, Facebook is hard. It is. So to give you guys a quick little background on what I've been doing, I've been doing e-commerce for about 3 years. It started with Instagram influencer marketing and then transitioned very quickly into Facebook because the people I was learning from, and we'll get into in a second, were not the right people, but I knew that they were making all their money with Facebook ads. So for me, it's why should I not learn this beast? And I knew whenever I got into my Facebook account, I'm like, holy crap, what am I supposed to click? What do I do? There's 1,000 different buttons. So I proceeded to fail for the next year trying to learn it all, spent almost all my money. And then, from there, it was just really, really small, pieces, just slowly. So it wasn't anything quick. Jacob says 5K this week on a new store. Boom, that's what's up. Can definitely scale that. Can you talk more about the unicorn marketing strategy? I'm going to give you guys some fire on exactly what I do with my Shopify stores. And then I'm going to take it from a little bit of a bigger setup. Just with anything else you're doing on Facebook, okay? So if you guys are running an agency, I don't know how many of you guys do that. That's something I do now, except my agency primarily focuses on running the e-com stores for other people. So it's still the very same stuff. We're actually gonna flip first. We're not gonna start with Facebook. If we can get them to see this board at all, I'm gonna show you guys a little bit about products first, okay? Because this is actually some research stuff you can do competitor-wise with honestly anything you're doing. So if you guys are even selling on eBay, Amazon, which are things we use for cross-referencing, which I'm going to talk about in a second, the same principles apply, okay? And then we'll dive into Facebook, so you can kind of ignore that.
You want to give them the rundown, Shopify real quick compared to other...
Yeah, and before I get really, really in-depth, Shopify is different from, not from Facebook. It's different from something like eBay or Amazon because on that, typically, a lot of what you're doing, at least with Amazon, is going to be you got to order it up front. So with this, your startup cost is pretty much next to nothing. It's just the marketing, which, as we're going to talk about, it can be expensive, but there's ways to get that down. And then with eBay and also with Amazon, on the marketing end of things, you don't really do anything. So a lot of that is SEO, the search engine stuff, getting it ranked high, which I've never had to do that, because I do Shopify. So I directly control if 0 people see my offer or if 1 million people see it. So some people might say, oh, but then you got to learn the skill. That's true. However, once you learn that skill, you can pretty much print money. That's literally what it is. Ted says, is AliExpress dead? It is most certainly not. AliExpress has pretty much every product under the sun. Okay, Kyle, definitely not. Exactly. So you guys can use that, and you can use other fulfillment places as well. But that's kind of the thing we're going to avoid. I want to give you guys the stuff right here that's going to help you make money. So Shopify, they have a free 14-day trial. You guys can go through, set it up, build a store. It's really only going to take you a few hours. Find some products off AliExpress. We link that through an app called Oberlo. Okay, and now what products do you pick? That's kind of one of the two big things I want to focus on inside of here. So we can flip up over onto here. When you guys are going through and picking a product, how many of you are doing anything related to selling physical products online? That can be eBay, that can be Amazon, that can be Shopify, WooCommerce, anything like that. Or even if you're selling something else as an affiliate, maybe through your personal brand. I know a lot of people who are big fitness influencers. They sell products as an affiliate through their brand, physical products, okay? King says, me. Perfect. Clothing, awesome. Juan, me, awesome. Okay, so finding products. This is one of the biggest things I struggled with because as I look back on this, it's tough to regret anything or kind of be like, oh, I went wrong here. But I noticed that I was actually learning the right marketing skills. But one of the biggest problems was my product sucked, okay? So one of the biggest things with your product first, I'm gonna go through and explain how I find my products, okay? So the biggest thing I utilize is a free resource called Facebook. So if you guys utilize that at all, I don't actually look for products, which is actually very contrary to what most people say. What I'm looking for, and this is what I outlined right here, is the ad. Okay, and a lot of people don't ever seem to think about this. And as long as you have a good ad, the product, yes, it matters because that's what's in the ad. But a lot of what I look for is an ad that already has momentum, right? So what do I mean by this? On Facebook, if you're finding an ad that has thousands and thousands, tens of thousands, I've seen them with hundreds of thousands, even millions of likes. You got a ton of shares, you get a ton of comments. That is organic engagement. It's not necessarily organic because they're running an ad to it. But think about it like this. If you see anyone marketing a product online and it has a crap ton of views, crap ton of comments, they have to spend money to do that. And nobody's just gonna spend money on a product that's not working. So what I look for first, I'm gonna explain how to do this in a second, is I'm looking for an ad, okay? So I don't start a Shopify store most of the time thinking, you know what, I think I wanna sell in the fitness niche. Or let's do technology. I don't do that. I actually go in and try and find trending products based on the ads that are being run. Because as long as there's a good ad, then I know I can market it as well. And that doesn't mean you're copying what they're doing, okay? It really doesn't. Someone said like the LED mask. Exactly. Social proof, 100%. It's already working. So what we're gonna do is build off of that. Now, how do you find this? If you guys go onto Facebook, not in the actual ads manager, just on the back end of Facebook, so where you would regularly search for your friends, go in the search bar and you just have to think of anything and everything. You can type in LED lights, you can type in fitness, clothing, you can even narrow that down. Shirts, shorts, blouses, sweatshirts, hats, gloves, literally anything, okay? So go through, write down, actually I wouldn't even bother writing this down because that's a lot of time, but you can go through and think of thousands of different products and you want to plug each one in with different keywords, okay? Let me give you an example. If you were to type in on Facebook right now, you were to go and say something along the lines of free shipping t-shirt. Guess what's gonna pop up? You're gonna hit page posts and you're gonna see, you hit see all, and you're gonna see thousands, depending on how big the niche is, it can be way more or way less. So many different posts, every single post that uses those keywords. So how do we determine these keywords? One of the biggest things for me is I think what other dropshippers would use. What would you use? If you were selling a product on AliExpress, on your Shopify store, you would say maybe 50% off, free shipping, okay? Maybe you'd say limited time only. Plug in keywords like that and then put in a keyword for the niche or the product. It's gonna start spitting out so many different products. So if you put in, for example, free shipping t-shirt, you're not just gonna find like one type of design. You're gonna find thousands of different t-shirts that actually go into so many different niches. So that's why I'm actually kind of finding the ad, then the product, then the niche, which is literally a 180-degree flip from what other people do. So what we're doing first is after you find your product, this is one thing we do, okay? I'm gonna loop back to the product at the end and we'll answer any questions. And I can even go through some people's store if you guys want. But the pricing, two things with this, okay? And it's gonna flow into the second point. I don't ever need to worry about having lower prices than someone else. Look, if you go and cross-reference, which is the second point on here, if you're gonna try and cross-reference what Amazon is doing and what eBay is doing, like the price point for that product, you're probably not gonna be able to beat Amazon. I've literally seen products on AliExpress for $50 that are selling for $60 on AliExpress. There's no margin there, you can't do it. So unless you find the really rare product where it's either not on Amazon or it's just way more expensive, which you can do, you'll eventually, if you do enough research, come across that. That's great, but you actually don't need to beat them. So why is this? If someone's coming across your product, it's $25, why wouldn't they just go type in Amazon.com? First of all, people aren't that smart. Think about it. You know, when you're seeing stuff online, do you ever think to cross-reference somewhere else? Maybe you do. You're a better man or woman than I am, but I don't, you know? If I like the offer, if I like the product and it looks good, I'm going to buy it. It's as simple as that, okay? So we're cross-referencing primarily on Amazon and on eBay. So those are the two things that we really focus on, because what that's doing is giving us an idea of what people have in their head. So if I look at a product, I can pretty much say, for example, a keyboard for a computer, I'm like, all right, there's no way it's going to be more than like $100. It's going to be like 20 to 100. So if you're trying to sell something for way higher than that, or let me give you a smaller one. If you're trying to sell a pack of Expo markers, I can go to the store and get those for $5 to $10. So if you're trying to sell them to me for $22.99, I know that that's outside the realm. Now, the only reason I would buy this, and this is the key, if I would buy this for $21.99 is if there's status behind it, if there's a brand. So there's two different types of things you can do on Shopify, and a lot of people can't seem to decipher the difference. A store versus a brand, okay? People talking about social proof, exactly. Store versus a brand. So branding means you actually care about the content you're posting on social media. You're making the site look really good, not some spammy store that we've all seen. Okay, using the right themes. There's a ton. I even have videos on YouTube you guys can go through for free and build stuff like that. There's thousands of them, okay? You can go on any of them. So you can go through, build up a store, focus on having really high quality pictures. And here's the biggest thing that I personally believe is the key to starting out with building a brand. You're not gonna have the most amazing brand if you've never done Shopify ever and it's your first store. But think about little things like this. Pricing. When you have 30 products on your store, 20, 100, whatever it is, please don't have half of them be on sale. Look, odds are if you have 20 products, there is no way in hell you can possibly be running ads to 10 of them right now off the bat. You're only going to be running them to like the main one or two that you found. The rest of the products are just like, you know, not a lot of research into them. They're called filler products, okay? You want to write that down, a filler product. So most of my stores are really built around a main 1 to 2 products, sometimes 3. Those are the ones I'm marketing, and those are the only ones that I actually have listed on sale. 2 reasons for this. You want the sale to actually seem unique. So most people, at least from the research I've done, about 70% of people do not actually go browse around your website. I used a heat tracking, like, you know, where they're clicking on the screen. I can see exactly what people are doing. It's like a software that maps that. Over 70% of people either stayed on the page and went through the checkout process or just left. So you're not really necessarily sending people to the home page or really a collection page. So they're not seeing all your products. You're only sending them to the one product, which we're going to talk about in the ads in a second, that you're directly marketing. So if they do go ahead and browse around, you want to make sure that that's really the only product on sale. And you can even play with the pricing. Again, you control the price point. If I want to sell, if I'm buying these Expo markers for $3, I can sell them for $6. I can also put it on my store for $60. It's all about how you position it. Now, you shouldn't do something completely ridiculous, but think about it. Someone like Gucci, and I understand that you might not be Gucci. You don't have as much social status or whatever, but Gucci shirts aren't actually costing $500 to be made. They're really not actually that much more expensive than the regular ones. So I'm sure they are, because whatever quality, snakeskin, whatever like that, but they control the pricing and they get you to believe what they're pricing it at. So that's kind of how you're actually going through and building a brand. Exactly. Maximilian says, look at the price. Exactly. Just look at that. And what you're actually doing on Facebook when you're doing the product research is you get to see all these other dropshippers' ads. You could probably come across one of mine. You wouldn't know it's mine, but you see all of that inside of there. So that's letting you see what's working. When something has a crap ton of likes, a ton of comments, shares, all of that, you can directly go through, look at their ad copy. You can watch the video, study the picture. You can go to their website and see exactly what they're doing. So for me, that research is actually way beyond just the products. It shows me the product description, how they're pricing their product, because clearly it's working. So that's huge just with the pricing. And again, using other platforms to cross-reference that. You wouldn't believe the amount of people I see who just don't do that or have told me they've never even thought of doing that. That should be one of your first steps. And you can write this down, okay? Go through on Facebook, use a couple keywords mixed with an overall word inside of a niche, literally any niche. You could type in free shipping motorcycle, free shipping accessory, keychain, fashion, men's fashion. You get the point. So type that in, then from there you're gonna go to page posts, hit see all, and you're just gonna be able to scroll through a lot of them. So you wanna find the ones that have the most engagement. Now, just to touch on that real quick, there's not actually gonna be a specific number you're looking for. So if I'm selling turtle necklaces, okay, I've seen people do it. I haven't sold them myself. Turtle necklace is like such a focused product. You know, there's not a lot of people, like all of you on here right now would probably not want a turtle necklace. Maybe someone would, but now if I were to give a more general product like a men's, you know, street style t-shirt, a lot more people would be a potential reach for that. It's a bigger audience. So those bigger audience posts can have a lot more engagement because more people are seeing it. So you don't want to judge it based on that. Just gauge it based on the other posts that are already up. That's huge. Got a lot of people saying you're cross-referencing, get a general idea on market value. Exactly. But I'm also using the cross-referencing. This is one thing I like to do. I build off of what other people are doing that's already working. That's the key. So if I'm looking on Amazon at the price and I see it's a bestseller, I'm going to look at the pricing and the description. I'm going to look at what they're saying in the description because clearly it's working. You don't want to ever copy paste what someone's doing or steal their photo or their video, but you can build off of it. That's one of the things I'm huge, okay? I'm huge on. Got some other people, a lot of products from Facebook ads or on AliExpress. You would be so surprised, Jake, at the amount that are on there. It's literally ridiculous. So that's why we like to utilize that, and that's why it's a perfect place to source your products from. AliExpress, people always talking about things getting saturated. I made a new store yesterday. It's as simple as that. I'm not worried about it being saturated. Actually, that's the one I'm most excited ever of running. So still with AliExpress. Now, this is the final thing we'll talk about under the products before we move into like the more in-depth. I want to give us some more time for Facebook as well as answering some questions. Your offer, I don't know if you guys can read that. The offer and positioning. What do I mean by this? When you're selling a product, again, similar to the keywords we're searching in, 50%, free shipping, limited time, BOGO, which means buy one, get one. That could be buy one, get one free, buy one, get one half off. What type of offer are you running? So again, back to this whole marker analogy or example, if you're selling this for $23.99, that's called a retail offer. Now, if you're saying that this is $33.99 or $49.99 and you're selling it for $23.99 or whatever, that's a discounted retail offer. So that's just a regular sale. 50%, 70%, 60%, whatever the number is, okay? That's just a product on sale. Now you can flip it, buy one, get one free. You buy one of these for 21, okay, then you get one free. Or you could say if you buy one of these for 21 and they're normally 31, again, that's kind of combining two of them. You can do buy one, get one half off depending on the product because you do want to think about your margin. You can also do something along the lines of free, where I'm going to charge them $20 for shipping instead of charging them on the front end. A lot of people like that. Or you can do it the opposite. They're paying for the product and they get free shipping. Here's a little key for you, unless you're really building a very good brand, like something long-term, and even then you can still do this. I would not recommend charging your customer twice. I believe it was Jeff Bezos, who said this one time. Don't quote me on that, but talking about how you should never charge a customer twice. Look, if you're gonna pay $20 for this marker or a set of them, and then I'm gonna charge you $5 for shipping, it would be more effective, and you can go test this because I have. You can go, I would rather charge you $25 up front, so you think you're paying $25 for the marker, and then you get free shipping because it seems like a deal. Okay, when you're going through, you've just spent $20. You might not have purchased yet, but in your mind, you've already accepted spending $20. Now, if I'm gonna add $5 on for shipping, it's just like a kind of kick in the balls at the end. It's like an extra, and that's a reason for people to validate why they don't need it. That's huge, okay? So that's one of the things we focus on. Does anyone have any questions real quick on the product before we jump into Facebook really deep? Flames came in late, what I missed. We were talking a lot about Facebook, finding the right products to sell on Shopify through AliExpress, talking about the ads a little bit. We're gonna talk a tad bit more about that, but I wanna get into Facebook. Okay, Chris, did this start? It's not loading for me. Yes. And again, if anyone has any questions before we jump into Facebook, I wanna make sure we kind of move through this in stages because there's a lot. Marizo, so free shipping always, unless you're doing a free shipping, or excuse me, a free plus shipping, where the product is free and then you charge shipping, you can reverse it. You can also do something which I'm sure you've seen on a lot of different sites. I believe Fashion Nova does this all the time, where if you order, if your cart value is $50 or more, or $30 or more, then you give them free shipping. So it's an incentive to bump up their cart value, okay? How to get better shipping? Better shipping is actually an app that I do recommend. You can type in better shipping in the App Store. Very, very beneficial. How about minimal watches? That can be good. Watches is huge. I personally believe it's a little bit saturated on Instagram, but if you go the brand route on Facebook, I see a lot of people having success. Dude, you're only 18, no way. Yes, age is literally nothing here. Even if you guys are 14, 15, just get someone over 18 to sign for your Shopify store and get it started. When you find your products on Facebook, how recent should the ads be? Great question. So it's not one of those things where I have to have every single criteria checked, because some of my most successful products actually didn't have certain things. And I'm like, is it going to work? And it ends up working. Okay, so that for me is huge. I ideally would like to have that be in like the last 6 months. So if you guys want, and we're gonna talk about this in a second with Facebook, recent data on Facebook, which won't really matter with the product, but obviously the sooner the better, recent data is considered 2 months, so 60 days. So that's definitely one thing you wanna look at, but if you have a product that's 2 years old on Facebook, it's from 2 years ago, it has a lot of engagement, go look at it on AliExpress, look it up on eBay and Amazon, see if it's a bestseller, you could still test it. Unless it's something that you can logically see like fidget spinners from like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, then obviously it's kind of died off. How can I find new suppliers? Use AliExpress. There's all sorts of suppliers. I don't ever source from just one supplier because they take all sorts of different products. Okay, do you buy your product first? Elena, you do not. That's the awesome thing about Shopify versus something like Amazon. You have no upfront cost except for the marketing, which is what we're about to dive into in a second. Called better shipping. Yes, great one. Okay, so let's dive into Facebook. Who here, just to have an idea on where I should exactly pick up from, who here has experience with running Facebook ads? Could be for anything. Absolutely anything. If you're running it for an agency, clients, maybe your dad or uncle has a restaurant you've been trying to run ads for, testing a product, physical, digital, anything. Who is experienced with the Facebook ads backend? Because I can give you guys a little brief rundown to make sure everyone's caught up to speed. Oh, perfect. Got a lot of people. Me. Yes, awesome. I do. Great. King, no experience, no worries. Perfect. I'm sure some people in the replay won't. So just to give you a very minimal background on that, when you're inside your Facebook account, you can set up a Facebook ad account. You can Google how to do that. I'm sure there's like a 30-second tutorial. Very simple. Inside of there, you're going to have a lot of different things. There's going to be a big green button that says create campaign. So once you have all this other stuff set up with your ad, you're good to go, you're ready to test. This is where you actually launch a campaign. There's a lot of different options, but the first thing you're gonna get, the first screen that's gonna pop up once your ad account is live and you hit that green button is what type of ad would you wanna run? So this is one of those things where a lot of people have different strategies. A lot of people have different things. This is kind of where the unicorn strategy comes into play, which is some of the people who learned from me. You guys know exactly what that is. But a lot of people have different things they like to do and they recommend. That doesn't mean that what someone else says is wrong. So just because I'm saying this, don't go hate on someone else who's saying something else, because I'm sure hopefully it works for them, So there's different strategies that work really well, all right? So here's what I do. I don't know how well you guys can see it, but I would recommend that you screenshot this if you can. I'm gonna explain exactly what this is. So on the right side on that page that pops up once you hit the create ad button, there's a conversion ad column, okay? So you hit conversions. And then once you go to the next page, you're gonna have to select the conversion event. So this is essentially what you're optimizing your ad for. And don't worry, I'm gonna break all this down in a second. This right here, VC, that's the first one. Second one, ATC. Third one, IC. The last one, purchase, okay? So PUR, and we'll just abbreviate that. So what this essentially means, think about this very, very logically. If you come across one of my ads, what's the very first thing that you could possibly do? View it, right? You just logically have to see it, right? And interact with it. Then from there, let's say you view it, you like it, you go to my site. Well, what's the next step if you want to actually get it? You have to add it to your cart. That's what ATC stands for, add to cart. Well, what happens after that in the checkout process? And this gets very logical. Initiating a checkout, which is where they start putting in their information. And then after that, you've purchased. You're left with the purchase. And this is the strongest piece of data. This is the goal. This is what we want to optimize for. Once you're optimizing for this and it's working, you're golden. A lot of what you're doing is going to work. Your data is being stacked. That's really where I make the bulk of my money. However, that doesn't mean I start here. So this is how I follow my ads. I like to launch my ads in this process. So unless one of you guys is coming in with a crap ton of data from Instagram, where you're running Instagram influencers or Twitter, YouTube, whatever, and you have thousands of sales, I still recommend you follow this, okay? I highly recommend. Huge beginner, perfect, okay? This is gonna make a lot of sense, so I'm gonna break this down. So think about it logically. Again, you're gonna view my ad, you're gonna add it to your cart, initiate a checkout, purchase. So when I'm launching my campaign, I wanna give this because this is a little bit like high level, but I can still make it make sense because this is huge. This is like the information I withhold from a lot of people, okay? So this is how I'm running my ads. I start with the view content because what I wanna do, you have what's called a fresh pixel. Your pixel on Facebook, that's what tracks all the data. It's running in the background on your store. It's essentially collecting that data from what actions people are taking. Okay, so whenever someone clicks on something, it tracks that. Whenever someone adds it to your cart, it tracks that. So down the road, you can run what's called a lookalike ad. And what this is where, let's say you have 100 people who have purchased your product. It can go and optimize those 100 people and find another 10,000 who look exactly like them. not physically, but digitally. Same interest, same buying habits. Maybe they're located in the same country. They're interested in the same things. They watch the same videos. You get the point, okay? It's like the same exact type of people. That is huge, okay? So running a lookalike is extremely valuable. That's what we'll do down the road once you have data. So when we're first starting with our ads, we run VC. View content, that's the lightest piece of data. The goal off of this, and this is contrary to what a lot of people are gonna tell you, so I'm curious to see how you guys react. The goal off of this is not to make money. It's not. So with view content, don't get me wrong, you can make money, and I'm sure you will with different view content ads. But the goal out of this right here is actually to get data. So we want to start getting that data. And I don't necessarily mean on the pixel. You want to know a couple of very simple things. Who is your audience? What interests are working? What age group are they in? What gender are they? And what platform are they engaging on? Okay? Let me break that down again for you. You want to know some very simple data. And you guys can go on my YouTube channel. I literally show this stuff for free. But I mean, we're going to go way more in depth in here. So a lot of this stuff, you use the breakdown tab. There's only a few key things out of the hundreds of pieces of data it gives you. You only need to know a couple things right away on view content. You want to know who they are, what interests are working, how old they are they male or female, and then what device are they on. And if you're targeting multiple countries, which country are they from? It's the data. Yeah, we're going to go through all that. I love you. I got you. So again, feel free. We're going to throw a ton of questions at the end. So if this doesn't make sense, just stick with us. Make sure to write it down. So view content, our goal here is to get started. We want to understand that data. From there, you might not be making very many purchases off of this, which is fine. We don't necessarily need to get that data. So from here, once we're running our ads, let's say it gave us 50 add to carts or so, right? You spent $100, you got 50 add to carts, maybe a couple of purchases, which a couple of purchases is not that important, okay? It's not that much data. So then we're gonna start optimizing our ads for add to cart. And you wanna do this once you've had some add to carts off of your view content. So think about it like this. Every single time you're going up a layer, you wanna do that once you have a good amount of data from the next step up. So let me break it down even further. If you're running add to cart ads, your whole goal out of this is to get more initiate checkouts. When you're running initiate checkouts, you just wanna be stacking purchases because you constantly wanna be moving up and up and up and up. Okay, and I'll give you guys my YouTube and everything. I'll recommend some videos at the end as well for specific questions. So, almost dropped the marker. So everything with this, the goal is just to move that one step up. And now I'm sure there's people in here who have tried optimizing for purchase. This is the funny part. This is what I was taught to do in the very beginning. For 5 months when I was running my ad, I was learning from some clown who was telling me optimize for purchase, optimize for purchase. I spent $4,700 out of the $5,000 I had in my bank. $5,000. I had $300 left and 5 months of work being put in for nothing. I made one sale that was $13.99. Not even as much as the bulk package of this marker example. This makes so much sense. I feel stupid. It really is simple when you break it down. And don't worry, Chase, I'm gonna dumb it down even more. It literally is not that difficult once you get it broken down for you. That's awesome. So the goal out of this again is to keep moving up one step after the other. And the whole thing is you're gonna be stacking purchases along the way. So you'll be making the most amount of purchases, obviously, when you're optimizing for purchase. The second most at initiate checkout. But even when you're running add to cart, that doesn't mean you can't test a purchase. Okay, so I would not recommend optimizing for purchase if you have no purchases. If your store has no sales, I would not recommend that. That doesn't mean you can't do it. I'm all for testing. Test everything. If you have the budget, do it. If not, stick to this like a freaking textbook and some teacher's telling you what to do, you know? So this is one of those things where if you have 100 add to carts, you're running a lot of add to carts, maybe an initiate checkout, VCs are still running, test a purchase. Why not? Test a purchase ad. And by the way, I run all of these at $20 a day. I let them run for about 2 to 2.5 days. So spending like 25 bucks or so. And the real gauge of if it's working or not in these beginning stages, because this is where you guys are first starting at, is actually not if it's making money. So just because an ad, again, doesn't make me money does not mean it was a losing ad. Okay, so what we're doing, I'm gonna answer all these questions here in a second. The whole goal out of this is to get that data. So what you wanna do is compare all your ad sets against each other. Very similarly to the product research. You guys getting the whole theme here? Comparing and contrasting. It's never an exact number, okay? It's a somewhat, estimated science, if you will. But when you're running in, actually, we'll start with this product stuff. When you're looking at 100 different products and you're looking at all the page posts on Facebook doing product research, you wanna see what has the most engagement compared to all the other ones. So when you're running 5 different view content ads, it's not a certain metric you're looking for. You're looking for the 1 or 2 that have the best data out of all of that. Okay, you're looking for that best piece of data. That's the best one you want to keep building off of and break down. Okay. Juan says, do you run multiple ads in your ad sets in your ad? I do. Okay, so think about it like this. This is how I launch all of my stuff just to keep things organized. Okay, this is just to keep it organized. Every single actual campaign, the campaign itself, the biggest level you can get at, every single campaign is one product. So if you're testing 2 products, I would recommend starting with 2 campaigns, 1 for each. That way you can separate it as much as possible, and then inside the ad set level, that's when you can show all the different optimizing for purchase or add to cart, initiate checkout. And I recommend you label that as well.
Text me if you want to do it or not.
I'm good. Thank you, bro. Yeah, so everything with this, that's what you want to make sure you label, because what Facebook's actually going to do, and this will screw you over, is Facebook actually labels everything just flat conversion. Okay, so imagine this. Let's say you launch 20 different ads, 20, and all of them are labeled conversion, and they're all for different things. You will have no idea what they were for. It's gonna take you so long to break down, so make sure that you go ahead and label them, just something that you're gonna remember. That's huge, okay? So if anyone has any questions about this process before I dive like another layer deeper on a little bit more specific stuff, okay, what are some key metrics to look at? I'm gonna flip the sheet in a second and we're gonna go through that. Okay, Chris, that's a great question. Do you stick to a specific niche for each store? Yes. King, I actually do not like doing general stores. That doesn't mean I can't do it. I have clients where I run their general stores. That's totally fine. The only reason I don't recommend this for a beginner is because then you have to get into the whole issue of custom conversions, okay? Custom conversions is what people seem to think is the only issue with the general store. That's where you're separating the data on your Facebook, on the pixel. So if you're running, let's say you have a store where you're selling electronics, you're selling board games, you're selling fitness products, it's all over the place. You're gonna confuse your Facebook pixel, so it's not gonna help you very much. So custom conversion separates that, but that's not the only issue. On your entire Shopify store, your email list is gonna be screwed. Okay, and email marketing is where I make about 30% extra for free on the back end. Jack, do you use email marketing? Yes. Email is huge, which again is a reason why I don't really like general stores too much. ROAS, if it goes below 1.5, kill the ad set. Kyle, so that can be a good metric if that's one thing you want to look at. However, that's actually ROAS. It's kind of funny you bring that up. That's the last metric I look at. I set up custom columns. That's the very last one. So again, just because it's not making me money, right? A break even would be considered 1 ROAS, return on ad spend. So just because it's not making me money doesn't mean I kill it. I want to take the data and keep moving towards what's working. Now, if I'm running a bunch of view content, maybe some add to carts, and none of them are getting me like really any initiate checkouts or no purchases, 0, then I will start testing other interests. Okay, that's huge. What you want to do is slowly ease into it. You want to build your Facebook pixel. That's everything. Since you're a pro at Shopify at this point, how long is it going to take to set up a store? And let's kind of cut off a little bit. I can only assume what you said. You're pro at Shopify, how long does it take to set up a store? Actually, I have a full team now that I train to do everything. So for me to build a new store, I can do it in 24 hours or less. If I were to sit down, 2 hours, 3 hours. Here's the thing though, Flames, I'm not the best. I'm not the best at building a store. That's not what I excel at. This is what I do. This is how I spend my day. I do the marketing. Okay, so for me, it makes sense to have other people do that for me. But in the beginning, obviously you can do that. It's a great skill to know how to do it. Like if it comes down to it, I can build a great Shopify store. That way you get more data. Don't kill ad sets early. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously the whole line between letting something run too long and then cutting it too soon. So that's why I really like to stick with like the 2 to 3 day kind of time frame. So again, if you're running it at $20 a day, let it spend about 50 bucks. Okay, if you're running it at 10, you're gonna wanna run it a little bit longer to make up that difference. Let it spend 30 to 40. Multiple Shopify stores on the same Facebook page. You cannot. So you're going to want to make a different Facebook page and a different Facebook pixel for each one. They can be inside of the same ad account, but you're going to want to separate that for sure. Do you have a course? Randy, I have a program. In my opinion, there's a difference between that. Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram and check that out. That's a lot just focused on Facebook. That's what we focus on. Bad habit of cutting ads early if they're looking bad. Yeah, Ted, I completely feel that. That's one of the things that I was really kind of messing up in the beginning, and that's because I didn't have a lot of money, so I didn't want to spend the money. So it is really tough in certain instances to stick to this when it's not actually making you money, but that's what you have to do. It really is. You got to trust the process. So there's different ways you can do this. There's a lot of different things, but this outline right here, like this is the reason we've made millions of dollars in sales so far this year. Like directly just that, 4 boxes. That's it. Do you manage other people's stores? Yeah, I have an agency where I do that. And we do more than just Shopify, but yeah. I'm really good at making stores, it's just marketing. Perfect, Ted. That's why now you have a really good skill that I'm not the best at, and now you can learn this. Implement this stuff, that's huge. Brad, great question. Is there anything wrong with running $5 ads? Not 100%, but personally, I haven't done that in over a year. So I feel like you just don't need to. It's too little amount of money. You need to give Facebook a budget to work with, especially with all these people now jumping in, attempting to do Facebook ads with a very low budget. They're all running $5 a day. So I always run a minimum of 10, but I would run that. You're gonna have to spend the same amount of money either way. Think about it like that. Okay, now we're gonna break this down a little bit more. I wanna tell you guys what metrics I actually look at, which I believe it was Chris or Kyle who asked that great question. Okay, so we're gonna kind of write this down. When you're inside of just the back end on your Facebook ads in the ads manager, okay, you guys can look up how to get there very, very simply. You're just in the back end of your ad account. Hit customize columns. It'll be kind of in the upper right. It'll be over to the right, kind of in the middle of the screen. Customize columns, okay? It's gonna go to the columns tab. It's automatically placed on performance. Now, here's Facebook going to work for you. Facebook is automatically gonna give you 14 different things that they want you to look at. So this is what it's gonna look like. It's gonna have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 14 different things, and that's what you're seeing when you run an ad. That's all the pieces of data, the reach, the impressions, when it ends, if it's scheduled. You can get rid of most of that. For example, and you guys can write this down, I highly recommend you do, because for me, looking at my ad is everything. Like I'm big on the setup. So if I'm looking at a bunch of data that doesn't mean anything or it's getting in the way, so I have to scroll, it annoys me. That's really what it comes down to. When you spend 10 hours a day doing this stuff, just directly running ads, you figure out the best way to optimize it, to say the least. So when you guys are running that, the 2 or 3 things I would recommend you just immediately delete off of your column when you click customize columns is schedule, because I don't schedule my ads. I'm either launching them or I'm not. I don't schedule them. And then ends. I don't ever set an end date on my ad. Never. Now you want to leave things on there like the budget, because you need to know what budget. We're running all sorts of different budgets. Now here's a couple things I recommend you add, because when you hit customize columns, there's going to be a search bar that pops up. Okay, and inside that search bar, let me just write out a few things for you. You're going to type in add to cart. Add to cart is one thing you're going to want to add in. Now you're going to search. Again, this is where you guys see all the pieces tying into place with the conversion event. You're going to want to then go ahead and You're going to want to write inside of there, initiate checkout. Okay? And there's actually going to be 2 for here. When you type out all of initiate checkout and hit enter, select the first 2, okay? How many you have, and then the cost for each one, okay? And I'm gonna show you how to organize the data inside the column in a second. Then the last one, so there's 1 that you're gonna have on initiate checkout. You're gonna have 1, 2 for this, and you're gonna have 3. And this is not the third point. There's 3 different things you wanna add in for purchase. This marker's dying out on us. But purchase right there is absolutely essential. So what you're gonna see in here, the first 3 things that are on there you wanna add. How many purchases do you have? How much are you paying for that? And then the third one, which I believe someone brought up, I don't remember your name, ROAS, return on ad spend. This is the very final metric. We move it to the very bottom right here on the column, because you can click and drag and reorganize how you see it. It's the very last thing we look at. Very simply put, it's the last metric that I wanna see. Essentially, it means, is it break even or not? 1 or above is break even into profit. 1 and below is break even to not. Okay, so it's losing money, which again, is a very, very controversial thing. And I really want to push you guys to believe this, that just because an ad is not making money does not mean it's a failure. How many ad sets do you put out? A lot, okay? So here's how I break down my ad sets. That's a great question. And we'll kind of finish up this here in a second. How many ad sets I put out? It depends on what I want to test. So if I'm running one product and I have 4 or 5 different interests, I'm going to run a couple ad sets to each interest. So let's call it 10 to 15 ad sets, boom, right there. Because I want to test VC for one, add to cart for another, maybe an initiate checkout. So I'm getting started with that. Then off of that, I'm going to want to test maybe a different budget. Maybe I'm going to want to do what's called stacking, where you're grouping your interests together. 3 of them, 5 of them, 7 of them. Or you're just doing one, which is called flex targeting. I primarily do flex targeting. Because let me ask you guys a question real quick, and I want to see people's answer. If you're running an ad and you have 5 different interest group inside of there, you've got, let's say you're running it for old people who like cars. You've got Hot Rod Magazine, Cars World, Cars Magazine, and Cool Crazy Cars, right? You got 5 different interests. There's things that people are interested in, okay? How do you know if your thing got a sale? Let's bring it back here. Let's say it gets any piece of data. How do you know which interest it came from? Go. How do you know? Because if you have 5 on there, how do you discern, right? Let's say it starts working. That ad starts making you a stupid amount of money. You want to scale it. You want to break it down, build off of it, get it working even better. Which one was it, right? You have no idea which interest you got the sale from. Carlos, bing, bang, boom, exactly. And that is not to say that you shouldn't do that, but think about it like this. Oh, and you don't, exactly. So here's how you need to think about this. This is why I do so much flex targeting, because I'm very logical with how I run my ads, and I like to look at the data. If you're gonna run an ad on just flex targeting, where you're running it to one specific interest, okay, just one, you know exactly what happened, you know where it came from, whether it was a good result or a bad result. Now, if you run it to 5 and it starts working, well, now you're screwed, because you have to go ahead and then again do what you would have had to do in the first place, plus that original ad with all of them stacked together for each individual ad set, changing nothing else but where it's targeting to see which one brought you the results. And here's how Facebook's also going to screw you even further. So to sum up that, you're going to have to spend the money either way. Plus, you're spending more money for one additional ad where it's all stacked up. But Facebook might not let it work. So sometimes when you put it all stacked together and then you try and separate it for each interest, it might not work. None of them will work. That can happen. Facebook's weird. Can Shopify store last 5 years, maybe even 10? Yeah. There's a lot of people who make a lot of money. Kylie Jenner's been on Shopify for years. She's about to hit $1 billion. Actually, she's done like 450 million in sales. It's on Shopify. Think about it. You know, the whole dropshipping business model is not going to go away. The things that can go away are the marketing strategies. This is different. I'm giving you the most current information right now, live. Today, September 9th or 10th or whatever it is, 2018. This is what I do every day. 6 months ago, this is a little bit different. 12 months ago, I didn't even know what this was. It didn't exist because other stuff was working for me. It's all about branding though. Exactly. So what's going to change with selling products online is going to be the marketing, the way people structure things, products, probably the offers a little bit, but primarily just the marketing and maybe the platform. Maybe Shopify will be gone. But that doesn't mean this stuff is gone. That doesn't mean dropshipping's dead. Do you recommend dark post or normal one? Lowen, when you're going through and setting up your page post, I would not put it as an open post. Put it as just for an ad. You want it to be a dark post. Do you make an Instagram for all your stores? Colin, great question. Yes, to summarize. And I don't really do too much with the socials. I don't really do anything with the Facebook, but I only focus on the Instagram once it's working. So you don't want to dump a bunch of time, and I guess just time pretty much, into growing a page, putting out a lot of content until the product's working. So just because you have a terrible looking Instagram doesn't mean it can't make sales. What's your ideal audience size per ad set? Jacob, great question, my man. So it depends on the pixel. So let me give you an example. If you have 100 purchases on your pixel, that's different than a person who has 1,000 and 0. So when you're first starting, just to give you guys a rundown, I'll actually write it out for you. Let's see here. All right, so audience size, when you're at 0, you're gonna want to stick in about the 75,000 to 500,000 range. Reason being is because the bigger you get, the bigger interest groups, the bigger audience reach that you get to, you're gonna have bigger brands competing against you, and guess what? They're gonna have bigger budgets. It's as simple as that. If you're targeting something, that's what I see people all the time, they don't know how to narrow this. When they're targeting something that's like 30 to 40 million, like 30 to 40 million reach, you're gonna have people competing in there who are running with a $5,000 a day budget. So your $20 a day budget is not going to get you preferred customers. So Facebook works on a bidding system, so you're going to be outbid for that customer. It's as simple as that. What's your opinion on ad copy, including 50% off or limited supply time left? Is there even both those things? Yeah, Chris, great question. When it comes into what I'm actually using for the scarcity or urgency, I recommend you use one. So if you want to say it's 50% off, focus on that. Now, for the limited time offer and supply left, you have one of two options. You got time or quantity. So you can say there's only 24 hours left. There's 17 minutes left. Or you can flip it and you can say there's only 200 of these products left, or there's only 6 left. That's two different things. You got scarcity and you get urgency, right? Urgency is the time, scarcity is the quantity. Don't do both. I would not recommend doing both. You're confusing people's head. And they don't realize it, but subconsciously they're seeing that. On beginner Shopify, what do you mean by size of? Let me actually move this a little bit. Size of your pixel. Yeah, Anthony, great question. So when you're first starting, you've created a pixel, which you can watch a simple tutorial on YouTube on how to set it up. That essentially means Facebook on your ad account tracking everything. So if you get 100 sales, Facebook has now tracked that. So there's 100 sales on your pixel. And what this means, it's just running in the background. That means Facebook can now help you optimize to find more people who are likely to buy based on the history of the people who already did. So they're looking at people's interests. They're looking at, where they shop, how old they are, where they live, all that stuff. So the more you have, if you have a little bit of, let's say 100 sales, you have a little bit of a defined audience there. So if you're moving up into, let's say 1 million or 2 million reach for your potential reach on your Facebook ad, that's going to give you a little edge. You're going to have a little edge going into it because they know a little bit more about who your audience is. So they can kind of weave through the BS inside of there. Copywriting is key. Yeah, ad copy is massive. Again, that goes back to the first sheet we were on. I'm not going to waste time flipping it. Talking about the actual ad. We find the ad first. That's huge. How do you discern between what's a good and bad interest to use? Great question, okay? So when we're going through and talking about the interest, I do my interest research inside of Facebook. I go through and I very simply look at every single store. I look at every interest and I try to find like the 3 to 5 that just relate the most. You want the ones that are very specific to what you do. And that's why I'm okay with going with smaller ones. The interest itself is not gonna have 75,000. It might be an 800,000 interest. You can get it down to this size. Okay, but you want to start with the smaller audience because they're just very specific. Facebook's going to help you more inside of there because not many people run ads to a very specific audience. So you're going to build up that pixel, get more data, get sales, get some add to carts, ton of data on there. Facebook's going to be able to help you as you, go into battle in these bigger audiences. It's huge. Try to convert for review content. Do you send people to your product page or homepage? You ever send people to homepage? Great question, Chris. That's what I said about 20 or 30 minutes ago with the product page being the most important thing. The homepage, over 70% of people don't ever go there. So whenever I'm running an ad, I'm sending them to a very specific product page for the one product they saw with the ad. Now, the only time I'm going to send them to something that's not the homepage is only one instance. When I'm running what's called a carousel ad, so it's showing multiple products, and I send them to the collections page for that product, which is not the home page. Okay, so we're always sending them to what they saw. You don't want them to have to waste time finding it. How do you feel about funnels, upsells, cross-sells? Upsells are huge. Max, I almost double my money on that, which is absolutely massive. I do a lot of that directly and also a lot through email. We usually see about 60 to 80% increase through that, which is just absolutely amazing. And then with funnels, I really only do that with higher ticket products and once we're deep into the branding. Because some products, like if you're selling a necklace and then you want to upsell for a bracelet, and then if they don't take that, you want to give them a ring, you don't need a funnel to set that up. Funnels are usually reserved for a lot of the stuff I see funnels for, like supplements, health products. That's huge. Are there any ways I can get my company logo on my product and ship very fast with no inventory? Yeah, there are. I would recommend reaching out to the specific AliExpress supplier that you're taking that product from just to see if they can accommodate that. If not, then there's definitely other ways you can do it. There's a ton of videos on YouTube about that. There's stuff like print on demand. You can do private labeling. Sometimes they will want you to buy inventory up front, but you can negotiate everything. Chase, due to your lifesaver. Hey, glad it's helping. What are the biggest hints that tell you you chose a bad product? It really comes down to the ad. So bringing it back over here, you're never gonna know. Like what I just explained with all the research, it means nothing until you run the ad. So this is just narrowing it down to give you the best chance. Like I have more products that don't work than do. But the reason that I make money with e-commerce is because I'm running all these products, right? I'm putting in the time, I'm putting in the effort, I'm doing the research, and I'm testing it. Okay, so you're never gonna know 100% if it's a winner or not unless you actually run the ad. So the biggest hints for me is if absolutely nobody, and this can also be one of two things, the product, and this is what you have to figure out, the product or the actual targeting. Okay, that's why we test a lot of different things with the targeting. The biggest thing for me is if we're getting a lot of view content and just no add to carts, because that's the first point of interest. You're not gonna go to a site, you see an interesting ad, you go to the site and then you don't like the product, you're not still gonna add it to your cart. Never. Criteria for searching good products. Yeah, I don't know if you jumped in late, make sure to watch the replay and go back to the beginning because that's what we covered first. But we're looking for a lot of ads that have engagement. So we find the ads first, then the products off of that, and then that determines our niche. Once you identify a product, you basically find 5% interest and run them only on VC. I'll start with view content and add to cart. Again, I'm all about testing. Just put it out there, test it. If it doesn't work, you can cut it quick. but I usually don't end up with 5 to 10 interests. I usually have a list of like 15, but once I really go through and narrow it down, it's usually like 3 or 4, maybe 5. What works well for you, low ticket and high volume versus high ticket and low volume? I do both. I do some stuff that's mixed where we upsell on higher ticket. But if you're starting with a lower budget, I would recommend low ticket. With a $20 a day budget to each of them, yes. What's the difference between paying $5 for an ad and paying $20? Great question, Julian. You're gonna have to pay them money either way. So if you're gonna run a $5 a day ad, you're gonna have to let it run for longer, and Facebook's not gonna like that because you're not showing that you have money to put out. So they don't wanna help you that much. Facebook works on a bidding system, so you wanna play at a bigger level. And $20 a day is not a big level, but again, it's just giving them that extra boost. $5 is gonna get you nothing. You might get like 1 or 2 add to carts a day when optimizing for VC. You wanna start seeing some data coming through. Chris, what's your usage of LAL? You mean lookalikes? LLAs? I use that on the back end. So once we're, not necessarily at purchase, once you have like 100 to 200 sales, at this point, kind of down the middle, this is divided into like 2 categories. Once you're usually like past like 100 sales, you can start optimizing for this and then test purchase. But that's the point where I start testing lookalikes. Once you have data. What's low ticket? Great question. That means a cheaper product. So something like $5, $10, $20. There's never an exact number. For me, I consider low ticket like $40 or less. Higher tickets like 60 or above. There's kind of that middle ground. Get the data fast. Yeah, because you got to spend the money either way. And shipping way different with higher ticket items? No. It all depends on what you're doing with the sourcing. So for most of them, it's the same exact thing with just off AliExpress. Do you do manual bidding right now? Yes. We do a good amount of that during a certain point in our scale phase. That's huge. What's your experience with the first successful Shopify store? How you felt momentum going? Sure, that's a great thing because I know a lot of people are first starting out. So when I was first starting my very first store, it's kind of interesting. This was my first ever viewpoint into doing e-commerce. I never actually had my own store right away. So what I did is I actually found a few of my friends down in Miami. And this is kind of an interesting story. I'll share it with you because it's very important when you're first starting. I was working with 3 other people and the store was already doing like $35,000 a month. So it was doing well. And for me, I'm 15, I don't even know if I could drive at the time. Like 15 or 16, I had skills from building Instagram influencer pages. I was very good at email marketing. So I helped them with those 2 things, Instagram influencers, which is how they were making all their money, and then email marketing. So they had a store and they owned all of the influencer pages. I used to grow Instagram influencer pages. These are my friends who did that as well. So we weren't paying for marketing. This was not existing. We weren't even, none of us knew how to do Facebook ads at the time. We were running Instagram influencers. And from me coming in within about 2 months, we took it from $35,000 a month to $72,000 was the biggest month on that second month. And we were running these ads, learning so much. I was down in Miami for a month and a half at 16. And I was spending every other week there after that, just constantly in Miami, learning, working on this stuff. And they were dealing with all the back end stuff. So I had no idea about sourcing, fulfilling products, hiring VAs, pricing, descriptions, finding more products, none of that. So I was just focusing on a few specific things. But what this did is it put me in a position where I was learning about Shopify. I was seeing a little bit about the process, started studying, I was hands-on, and at the same time making some money. So that cash that I was making off of that, I took a small equity piece. That was really helpful to then start my own stores after, which, by the way, bombed. 3 stores in a row. Terrible. How do you get ad sets with only 3 to 5 interests? Well, that's what you choose. So you can run an ad set with 1 interest, 100 interests. I either run it with just 1, which is called flex targeting, or stacking, which is 3 to 5. Or excuse me, not 3 to 5. I'm confused by what you said. Stacking is 3 to 7. So I don't like to go above 7. So if you're running direct interest groups, either 1 or 3 to 7. He's going to ask about ClickFunnels. ClickFunnels is huge. I use it for very, very few offers. Most things you don't need it. Do you run custom audiences targeted such people recently viewed alongside your other ads? Yes, a lot of that's for when we're running video ads. People who have watched a video for longer than 3 seconds but have not taken an action. What's your recommended budget for testing for the first time? This is a great question that a lot of people ask. I say $1,000 is a good thing to throw out if you know exactly what you're doing. However, you're not going to need that up front. So if you're first starting, you're not going to just spend $1,000 in a day. It's not like you're buying a car up front. This is over time. So I'd say $500 and have some sort of monthly cash flow. Live in Miami if you have anyone in the area that can help me. Yeah, I mean, I have some friends down there. Amount to start off with. Yeah, Ted, I hope that helped that. Hector, at what point should I hire a VA? This is something you should not worry about until you're making money, because you will know. Trust me, Hector, you will know when you hire a VA. And for everyone else, what he means by that, virtual assistant. This is typically someone who goes through and fulfills all your orders for you. Because if you're getting 100 orders a day, it typically takes about a minute, sometimes 45 seconds to a minute and a half to fulfill each order. So if you're getting 100 a day, you're going to be sitting there for an hour to 2 hours. That's not a smart use of your time as a business owner. So usually once I'm getting like 30 orders a day, I go ahead and look at that. How do you go about taking someone's video ad to test a product yourself? Yeah, great question. So when you're going through and doing the product research, you're doing all your references, whatever, you find some products that are working based on ads that are getting a ton of engagement. You can actually download the video off their Facebook ad, but please make sure you do this. Don't just do that. Do not just do that, okay? You're gonna wanna go through, download it, put it into an editor and change it a little bit. We got Josh watching you from the drive-thru at In-N-Out. That's what's up. So it's really that simple. You wanna make sure you edit it a little bit. Because this happened to me. I went through and I was running exactly what someone else took. I didn't copy their ad copy, but I took the video. Boom, ad account disabled. I had a couple backup accounts, launched the same ad, boom, disabled. I'm like, why the hell is it getting disabled? 3 in a row, and I only had 4 ad accounts before I figured it out. So it was really, really scary. So make sure you edit it a little bit. Hey Josh, I need an Uber, bro. Can you pick me up? Go scoop him. How do you deal with long shipping times? I do e-package shipping, so it's really not that long. You know, you're looking like a 2-week time frame. So that's still a little bit longer, obviously, than your main competitor, Amazon. But people are willing to wait. 2 weeks is not out of the works. Now, the biggest thing I recommend to you, you need an email sequence on the back end. So one of the biggest things that I do is I let them know about their order before they let me know. So you're doing drop shipping, you'll probably get a decent amount of complaints, maybe. You'll get some refund requests, maybe. But dealing with the long shipping and just putting their mind at ease from everything is telling them some sort of update. Even if it's kind of like, you know, BS, like a fugazi, right? You know, going through and doing that, you want to give them some sort of information. Let them know it was sent out a week later. You were a little backed up, but it's on the way. You know, it's something simple. Just give them an update without them asking. That'll really help. Facebook retargeting when you start, custom audiences you create. Yep, retargeting is something you should not worry about specifically for what I do until you're at like 10 to 20,000 a month. So this will come once you're deep into this. Retargeting, we'll put an R. So that's one of the things down there. I just do direct retargeting. The only thing that I really change is the ad copy of the post. I'll say last chance and then really push either the scarcity or urgency. Tips for making great product descriptions. Definitely utilize what other people are doing. So this is where the whole product research comes in. You get to see directly other Shopify stores. You can go look at Amazon. Amazon's a great way to do it because theirs is a bullet point list. I usually put like a headline and I center it in the middle of the product description on Shopify. So instead of being on the side, I center it and I put that one in bold, sometimes all capitals. It's like one sentence that usually takes up a few lines. Then I go through and I'll do a bullet point list of like 3 to 5 things. So you just want to give them information about the product, maybe how it's made, where it's made, give them, you know, the whole spiel. At what point do you kill or keep an ad set that isn't making money? Steven, we're usually running those for about 2.5 days, depending on your budget. So 2 to 3 days worth. If it's not making you money, again, that doesn't mean it's not a winner. If you're stacking a really good amount of view content, you're getting added to carts, maybe an initiate checkout, keep doing it, but break it down and look to see exactly who's engaging. Still make your ads the same way you show in the past YouTube videos? It depends on the YouTube video. A lot of the stuff I don't show on YouTube just because that's free. You know, thousands of people see that. Got to keep some stuff low key, but there's a lot of different ways to make ads. It changes all the time. If you use dark posts, why do successful ones use normal post? Again, a lot of different ways to do it. I don't always use dark posts. Depends on what you're trying to do. A lot of the people who are not using dark posts are building up a brand on Facebook. So that's what you can do when you're doing that. But if you're just starting, you have no need to do a normal post. It's a dark post, light post. That's something you don't need to worry about right now, Julian. That's someone who knows a little bit more about the back end of Facebook. That essentially means if you're posting it publicly on your page for others to see or if it's kind of hidden. Yeah, so I hope that answered that, Brad. What's the next detailed layer on your graph here? This one. If we're going through, this is talking about the actual specific data, okay? The exact data. Do you use the same video which is on Facebook? Again, Lanza, if you're gonna download what someone else is doing, please, I do not recommend you copy it exactly. You're gonna wanna go ahead, download it, edit it a little bit, make your own, make something similar. Otherwise, Facebook will probably disable it. That can happen all the time. Chris, what metrics you use, transition numbers specifically? It's exactly what I said like 20 minutes ago. There are no specific numbers. It's the same thing as doing product research. You want to compare it. We keep flipping back and forth. Chris, you're going to want to compare it against each other. So again, if you're running 10 of these, you don't necessarily see, okay, if I didn't get one of this, or if this wasn't under $5 or $1, you're going to look between all of them. So whenever you're running an ad, let's say you're running 5 different ad sets, usually 1 or 2 of them is just drastically underperforming the others. Kill them. Break it down first and then kill them. Then you start looking at the other, you look deeper. Who is engaging? From there, you make duplicates and you narrow in on that. So that's huge. Do you have to constantly give out content for Instagram and Facebook? Not in the beginning, Brad. Again, that's not something I would recommend using your time on. It's not an important resource right away. Once it's working and you want to start building a brand, then sure. Should I start with IG influencers? As a beginner, should be playing with Facebook ads. If you have some sort of connection with influencers, or you have a product that would work on influencers, because a lot of products just won't, as simple as that, then you can definitely do influencers. Either way, you're gonna have to do Facebook. Facebook's where you make the money. So either way, you're gonna have to transition. Coming in there with data definitely makes it easier, it makes it faster, but that's kind of your call. I focus on Facebook now. If you go through any stores, love to see mine, currently breaking even 100 a day on Facebook, try to optimize my ads. Perfect. Yeah, if you could definitely drop in the link. I think, can we screen share?
Yeah, just need to set it up.
Someone's gonna, we'll do it in a second once they drop the link in here. You've been successful print on demand. I don't run my own print on demand stores, but I do the marketing for people who do. So, yes. Do you do ads on Instagram where it says sponsored? Yes. So that's a direct, that's kind of, you can think about it as a Facebook ad on Instagram. Okay, so that's what we do. And we always split that, by the way. You're never running an ad to both Facebook and Instagram. Very simply because Instagram, you can't click the link in the description. So you split the page post. You make 2 posts, the same thing, just one with a link and one without, because the Instagram one's gonna have a button. It's gonna be $20 per day per ad set, exactly. It's pretty easy to edit the videos of your competitors. I use iMovie, cut the clips. Yeah, exactly. And Jacob, iMovie is like the most basic thing. That's what I use, you know? And I don't do it myself anymore, but I use iMovie for YouTube and everything. Super simple. Emoji usage, professional and unprofessional. You can do it, just don't overdo it. A lot of people think it helps, but then they use 10 of them, and that actually hurts you more than it helps you. So stick to 1 or 2. Because an emoji is a visual aid, so don't put a random one. It should come at the end of a sentence and make sense with what that sentence said. If you're talking about a necklace or a new ring you're selling for females, put the little ring emoji. You know, something like that. Yeah, so if someone wants to drop their store, I know, who was it who was looking at them? It was Colin. Yeah. What countries do you target? Are they all in the same ad? I always start my ads with just the US, but there's something called the Big 5 that you can do. Let me flip to a new sheet. Does anybody know what the Big 5 is already? I'll write this down because you guys can screenshot it if you want, or write it down. I screwed that up. Okay, so does anyone know what the Big 5 is when it comes to location? Boom. They know what it is. Exactly. So let me explain how I split that, okay? So you got US, UK, New Zealand, Australia, and Canada. Okay, so you got the US, UK, I'm going to abbreviate it like this: New Zealand, Australia, and Canada. Some people know, cool. Surprised a lot of you know. That's awesome. So what I do primarily is I'm just running it to the US. Now, if I'm ever going to test any of these, they're all together. Okay, so it's kind of split like this. I start my ads in the US because if you can make it work in the US, the odds of it then working even better in other countries, it can help you so much. It really can. So that's why I always start with the US. Building your pixel data is the best in the US. It's also the hardest. So if you can make it work in the US, it will work elsewhere. It's huge. So that's the highest quality data you can get. But if you want to run any of these other 4, run them all together. And then you're going to also need to break it down by country to see exactly who's doing it. If you run worldwide ads, which do you exclude? Usually like half the time I don't exclude anything because that's a whole nother variable you're throwing at Facebook. And you don't want to just test everything. Oh, people are sending in, they're kind of code wording in the stores. Satisfaction.com. Oh, man. Let's see. And they can see this? I'm just going to...
They could only see the Google page.
This one? Okay, that one down. Okay, perfect.
There, yeah.
Time, I'll just type it in. All right, let's check it out. You're going to have to let me know what product you were doing. We can go through and check some of these out, give some direct advice. I will go through and make sure we can still read the comments as well. India is the best for engagement. Yeah, if you're targeting other stuff, third world countries, you'll get a lot of weird comments, other language comments, which it's not that bad. It's, engagement, but huge. Said the date keychain. Aha. Okay, you got the chat up there. Let's go to the product page. So this is where you're sending people, okay? This is the page you're sending them to directly, not the home page. You're sending it here. Okay, first thing I recommend, I see this up here. Is this what you're copy pasting into your ad? Okay?
Yeah, I need to readjust the page a second.
Oh yeah. Who was it whose store we're looking at for your name? Is that directly what you're pasting into your ad? Are you running Facebook ads for this? You said Facebook, right? Or are you using a bit.ly link? How are you structuring the actual link? Because you're going to want to change this. When you go to the back end of that product over on your Shopify store, you're going to hit edit website SEO, and you can just change the back end. Just put like dash date or jewelry or remember the date. Something simple. Let me just see about the link. Check out some of this description. Good, good. How much are you getting this product for? I feel like this is something you can do a free plus shipping on. You got the thickness. You guys take note of this. This is a great description. Got a lot of information, the thickness. Boom, month of year. Awesome, optional. Ooh, interesting. I like that. Personalized. Boom. Lets them know, sets the expectations right. That's huge. And then you're going to follow up with them. I like that. It's awesome. That looks clean. Different photo for my ads, and yes, Facebook, $12. Colin, so is this the link then that you were copy pasting, like in the actual ad copy? Like, could the person see all these numbers here on the back end? I would definitely recommend going, because you'll be able to basically cut out all of this and just put like, whatever the product full name is. You could just put remember the date. You could essentially get rid of all of, and this thing. You could get rid of all of this and have it run. So you want it as short as possible while still saying your store's name. So you want to make sure you can leave all this in here as short as possible to look as clean as possible. It's huge. It's awesome. Then these will flip to a new one. Give us a link. Only running on IG, so just a shop. Perfect. Yeah. So it's kind of masked when you're running it on when you run on Instagram, because Instagram's a button, remember. So if you're going to try and run the same ad on Instagram and Facebook, you're going to run into some difficulty, because on Facebook, you want to put the link in the actual product ad copy. So on the ad they're seeing. But if you were to run that on both Facebook and Instagram, they can't see that. Or excuse me, they can't see it. They won't be able to click it on Instagram. Shopify URL direct to make it even shorter. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways. The only thing I would not recommend, Kyle said bit.ly. Kyle, here's why I would not recommend bit.ly. This is kind of an insider. I know some people who work at Facebook in the algorithms department. It's going to immediately demote your ad. And if you do it enough times, it will demote your ad account, which you don't want to have. So just kind of like, it's not the end of the world. You can still make money with one that has a bit.ly, but you're shooting yourself in the foot, or at least in the toe. It's going to hurt. It's going to slow you down. Would you separate the big five with different ad sets? I'm never going to just really target, oh, it's gone now. Never just going to target one. So it's never going to be like one for the US, one for the UK, one for New Zealand. It's either just the US or all five. It's huge. Can I structure my store like Apple or Tesla? If you go to a website, it's nice, clean, simple, and straightforward. Yeah, You can structure however you want. It's huge. Yeah, so does that make sense to everyone? Like why this is good, a couple of things. Other than that, description is great. I would recommend putting this checkout badge at the bottom instead of the top. Just because when someone comes on mobile, you got to make sure it's mobile optimized. This is going to take up a lot of space on mobile. So they got to scroll past that. So that's something to think about. I like the custom message. How much is this? Oh yeah, you said $12. Okay. You could probably, wait, did you say $12? Let me double check. $12, yeah. Okay, 20, that's kind of cutting into your margin. I would really push the whole personalized end of it. I've seen a lot of personalized jewelry blow up recently, so I would push that and charge like $24.99. You know, try and like double what you're paying for it. How do you think Shopify will change next year as a business model? Well, Shopify is not a business model. Dropshipping is. Shopify is the hosting platform. I don't think Shopify will change much besides certain apps. And as a lot more people try and get into it, you know, the apps we use, the strategies we use will change. But it's primarily just going to be the marketing with Facebook as we covered. Giovanni, how do you clean up the URL again? When you're in the back end, the admin panel of your Shopify store on that specific product, scroll all the way down and hit edit website SEO. It's huge. How about Google short links? Same thing as Bitly. I would not recommend it. I mean, Shopify dropshipping is a business model. Yeah, JJ, again, it's just gonna be the marketing, the way that we do things. It's already evolved so much and it still does. Like the way I do things now is, you know, different from a year ago, different from 6 months ago. There's even differences in the last 2 months or month. So especially as Facebook releases new algorithm updates. So that constantly changes. Like one of the things at the beginning of, was it June or July? Yeah, does anybody know? It was either the beginning of, I would like to say it was July. Yeah, I think it was July 4th. Does anybody know about the algorithm update that happened? They didn't talk about it. They didn't post it anywhere because it was behind the scenes with just the ad end of things. Does anyone know what that was? Because understanding the algorithm shifts is huge. Otherwise, that can pretty much, you know, break your legs. You won't be able to run well. We can talk about apps. Miguel, how to find hot trending products. Make sure you go back and check the replay of this because we talked about that a lot in the beginning. But I want to know if anyone is familiar with the algorithm shift that happened in July, or if people even know, because this is huge. There's a lot of different little things. Talking about how they demote ads, like and share. No, that thing with Bitly and Google Shortener has been around for a while. That's like 6 to 8 months in. I haven't been using that all year, pretty much. So yeah, the actual algorithm shift that happened at the beginning of July. I think it was July 4th or July 6th. It might have been on July 4th, yeah, the holiday. Essentially, Facebook switched when you should be launching an ad. So a lot of people ask me all the time, when should I launch an ad? What time of day? The biggest thing is when you're launching your first ad. If you have a brand new Shopify store, you got a brand new Facebook with it, new pixel, you've never run an ad on that ad account, you should be starting it either Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday in the morning Pacific Standard Time. So like 1 a.m. to noon or 2 p.m. Not at night, not on Saturday, not on Friday. They like that the best. How do you know when the algorithm shift happens? That's the thing, you don't. Thankfully now I have connections, so I do. But that's one thing I try and put out a little bit to a lot of my students. So, and again, it's just little things, but all the time they change something. So if you're first trying to launch an ad, if you've never ran an ad, you're gonna take all this and go do it with everything we talked about, and you try and launch it brand new on a Friday, it's not gonna do as well as it would have on a Monday or a Sunday. So they just switched when they consider the beginning of their week. So it's a little bit more effective. They just like it better. Yeah, so Chris, I hope that makes sense with the change in the algorithm. Because, you know, that stuff, a lot of people make a lot of money online, and then bam, one algorithm shift screws up their entire business. It can happen all the time, over and over and over again. Yeah. Hurts a lot. GDPR compliance, that was a big one. And, you know, some of this stuff is really publicized, like GDPR, that was all over. You know, and people were making YouTube videos about it and stuff. What time would you say? Again, in the morning. So usually like 1 a.m. You can launch it at midnight, but like midnight to noon. Think about it like that, in the morning, Pacific Standard Time. Happened to me 3 times with Facebook. Hurts a lot. Yeah, they get you with that. I had 606 visitors on my store today, no sales. Perfect. Jacob, let me tell you why that's a good thing. A lot of people have this problem. It's one of two things. Let me narrow it down for you. It's either your product or, and it can be both, either the product or your audience that you're targeting. Okay, so 606 visitors, look at where you're running your ad to, because if you're running that to the US, that's a little bit frightening, because that's a lot of people who should be able to buy and who are qualified to buy but didn't. So that says a lot about the product, or you're bringing people to the store, enticing them with something that they might be interested in, and you're showing them something that's different, or there's something wrong with it. I would take a look at your amount of add to carts and the amount of initiate checkouts too. Because what I've actually seen people do is they have a ton of people come, they get 0 sales, but they have a lot of add to carts and a lot of initiate checkouts. Turns out their checkout was broken, so nobody could buy.
That's the worst.
Yeah. What's your strategy for scaling a good ad? It does depend on what you're doing, exactly where your pixel is at. But the biggest thing I can recommend you, Chris, is don't kill what's already working. Duplicate and raise the budget on the duplicate. Because if it stops working for whatever reason, you want to have that base to come back to. How do you edit your Shopify link again? Owen, so you're going to go into the backend admin panel on your Shopify store, click on the specific product that you want to change, go all the way down and hit edit website SEO. So you can change the backend. So if you look at this right here, you'll essentially be able to go into your ad on Facebook, type in www.timelessaffection.com/products, and then you get to decide after this slash what you put. So you could put, for example, necklace, and then boom, that's all you're going to be advertising. So you can run it to that. So you can really just make it shorter. It looks better. Still says your name and all of that. Very, very minimal add to cart initiate checkout, targeting US, UK, and Canada. I would recommend segmenting just for the US, but you're probably going to need to switch up your interests. Your interest research might be a little bit off, and it could potentially be the product. How much you raise your budget by? It depends on where you're at. So, for example, a lot of people say raise it 20% a day. If I'm scaling, I don't ever raise it 20% a day because you don't want to move it every day. You need to give it a couple of days to stable out to see if it's even working. So what I like to do is if it's at $20, I'll raise it to 30. If it's at 30 to 50, 50, 75. I never usually like to go more than a double. So a lot of people try and say, oh, it's working, it's at 20, let's go to 50 or 100. It's too much. You can try it. It might work sometimes, but rule of thumb. Lowen, thanks, Anna. Really appreciate the info from today. Hey, I got you. Glad it helped. How do you scale once you found a specific ad set that's performing well? Yeah, so this actually kind of will answer it for both Maurizio and Chris. When you're actually trying to raise the budget on a specific ad set or campaign, like just directly increasing what's already running, you need what's called a matured ad set or a matured campaign, which means 30 sales or more on that specific ad set. So don't raise it with that. A lot of people get 10 sales. It's at a great price. Like, yo, time to scale. Let's take it to the moon. They're posting on their Snapchat, let's go, scale season, whatever. But you're going to mess it up. And the worst thing you can do, I guarantee you it's going to happen to you. Even after this call, you're going to want to do it. You're going to do it some way, somehow. And it's good because you're going to learn, but you're eventually going to have something where you killed something that was working, could have worked, and had potential, but you killed it. And it's going to happen, and you're going to learn from it. It's as simple as that. So give it time. You want to let things optimize as much as possible. Facebook moves a little bit slower. Just start stacking more and more data. So you can't really start being ballsy with what you're changing until you have a fully built pixel, which by the way is considered 500 sales in the last 2 months or more, or excuse me, 2 months or less. So 60 days. Evan, this can be replayed, right? Yeah, they're gonna have a replay of this, right, Josh?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, you guys have a replay. So if you guys are jumping on a little bit later, not to worry. We covered products towards the beginning. Give you guys a little recap, and if anyone has any questions, again, we'll go through and do a lot of those. Whoa. All right. First thing we covered was products. Talked a lot about price referencing, cross-referencing that, and the offer and positioning, how you're structuring that, because that's huge. Again, I focus a lot on the pre-structure, which means what you do before you run an ad, like before you run a single ad for a new store. Okay, then we talk a lot about Facebook, the ad, we find ads, then off of that we find our products, and then that determines your niche. A lot of people literally do that exactly backwards. And then the specific process with our ads. It's huge. Great stuff. Check the store. .shades.com. We'll check that out real quick. Boom, boom. We can look at a few stores real quick, and if anyone has any other questions, feel free to fire away. I have 10 ad sets for $5. How long should I let that run? If you're doing $5 a day, again, Owen, I don't do that. The minimum I go is 10. But I would let that run for 3 to 4 days. Okay? And here's the thing. On day 2, you're going to have at least 2 or 3 out of the 10 that are clearly doing way worse than the others. Just break them down real quick, look at who was engaging, then just kill them. You can kill them early. So it's not like you're going to spend, $50 a day for 5 days on all 10 because you're going to eventually end with only 5 or 6. For this is the first thing I see that pops up. I would recommend giving some sort of incentive. I have no reason that it seems a little personal to give my last name as well, but you're not giving me like 10% off, 20%. You guys can look into an app called Wheelio. I'll write it down. Where's the marker? Wheelio is a cool app because it makes it seem like a game. Who has seen Wheelio? Very good pop-up for right when people land on it. Good, simple store. Cleanly built. Good high-quality pictures. I like it. Let me check out this real quick. Who's noticing a pattern? I'm seeing a few things that I would change. Again, in a good way. This looks good. You got good organization. Good price points. A few things that I would do. The 2 biggest things that I would do on here. Whose store is this? I'm sorry, I don't remember the name. But I would raise the prices on most of your products, and I would put only 1 or 2 on sale. I saw like 7 or 8 products on sale. You really only need the 1 or 2 that you're running on, and then your product descriptions need to be created. Definitely. So remember the last example we looked at from the other store? You can take a lot of advice from other stores as well when you're doing product research, and then you can also go ahead and look on Amazon. It's huge. Amazon almost always has a bullet point list with information about the material, what it's made out of, like its features, how it's going to help you. Just don't copy paste that, but use it as like a reference point. It's a great idea. Boom. Don't know what kind of theme I got. Split test ad copy. Yeah, but ad copy is something where I usually start with only 2 variants. And you don't want to test too many things at once because let's say you're testing, with every different ad you run, all the different conversions event, all the different interests, every single thing, it's a different ad copy. You don't know, you can't isolate the variable of which interest was working better or any group because you're testing so many things at once. That's why you got to move slowly. Start with 1 or 2. If nothing else is working, either switch the ad copy or switch the product. So you want to test as few things as possible. Chris, with a question, what aspects do you think are the most important in having a successful ad and being successful in Facebook ads? Understanding that in the beginning, just because something is not making money does not mean it's unprofitable. Okay? And I don't care to talk about like brand awareness. I don't give a shit about that. I want to make money. But you need to build the data first. So don't think about it as like brand awareness or running this and that. You just need to build data on your pixel. And not only are you building that data, you're seeing who's engaging. So that's huge. Absolutely huge. Other than that, other part of the question, successful ad. Yes, that's with Facebook ads, successful ad, really modeling, not duplicating and not copying, but modeling what's already working. So you can see that stuff like we talked about on Facebook. Let's see, we got loverscharm.com. So we'll look at this one and then one more. Yeah, we're just going through questions and looking at people's stores. I like it. Makes a lot of sense here. Calendar love charm. Drive safe. You could actually do a lot of damage with this on Facebook. I like that. Simply because you got to think about, this is how I think whenever I see a product, an ad or anything, boom, drive safe, I need you here with me. You can talk about and go pull a statistic off the internet, something that relates to their relationship, and this is going to hit them hard emotionally, people dying in car accidents. Talk about how many people die in car accidents a year who are in relationships. Get it that specific and then, mention that in the ad copy. Okay, you would be able to sell so many more if you take it from that standpoint. So it's all about how you position it. Again, that goes back to the offer and positioning. Huge. Okay, your desired date, boom, customizing it. I love the customizable stuff, the jewelry, that stuff sells. That's huge. And you could sell them this and then upsell them on this. right? Because you know people who are here in a relationship. So you're going to be on Facebook targeting people who are in a relationship. Funny story, the first store I ever ran by myself, not that first one that was doing $72,000 a month. First one I ever ran by myself was a relationship store. And it absolutely failed because I didn't know how to do Facebook ads. I was doing Instagram influencers, and there were some really big relationship pages, like 500,000 followers, a million, like even 2 million. And I was paying like, it was super cheap, which should have been a red flag, like $5, $3. One I paid like 75 cents for. And I realized it's because it was all these Indian pages. It was like 75% of my traffic was from India. The rest was from like Afghanistan and like these third world countries that just don't have the money. They're not qualified to buy. So I had like hundreds of add to carts and 0 purchases. So that's one thing. That's why I would focus on Facebook, so you know who to target. That's huge. So yeah, does that make sense though? Everything with this secondary product right here, why that would, like why I see that right when I see this, like that's a really good one. You should be focusing on this product. What is it, a keychain? Let's check it out. That's huge. Did you know? Oh, boom. Oh, nice. National Safety Council estimated automotive fatalities topped 40,000 second year consecutive in the USA alone. Boom. Try and relate that somewhere into relationships. Say while getting home to loved ones, or just spin it some way so it relates. But that is awesome that you have that in there. Boom. Just hit them emotionally and hit them hard in the ad. You could even spend some time putting together an ad video that throw it together an iMovie or pay someone on $5 or $10. Something with emotional music that talks about that. Some sort of like, you can just pull these videos online and chop them up. Talks about that, shows some deaths, maybe like a scenic view of a car crash, some fatality, and then shows that product at the end as a solution. You got to get creative with it. I like that though. And we'll look at the last one here. utrendstar.com. See what we got here for Jacob. Let me know every day in the trendiest of ways. First thing I see here is this is a general store. So you're going to need to run custom conversions on Facebook, which you can just search that on YouTube. I'm sure there's plenty of videos. Just all sorts of different products on here. So personally, I like to run niche stores. That's where I find all my success. That's just what I focus on. So what I would do is I would test as many products as you think are good in all sorts of different niches. Never two of the same in one niche. Go through, test them in all these different niches. And then from there, you'll determine which one's the best and then niche down based on that. So your goal with this should be to make it a niche store once you know what's working. I would also make less of these on sale just so it seems more special. That sale's got to be unique. We'll just check out your descriptions here. Okay, one thing I would recommend for a lot of you, he does a good job of this right here. I would use it at the top as well. Use italics, use bold, use underline. For example, whenever I put a bullet point list, I always put key elements and then start the bullet points under it. So I'll put key elements in bold and underline. So it's like it stands out a little more, because if you group a lot of text together, it's like, it's kind of mumbo jumbo. It's all put together. So it becomes a little bit more difficult on the eyes to read. And if you separate it with, bullet points, you got a little bit of bold, don't go overboard with that. But highlighting certain things, it can really help them read it easier. Scan it, speed read it, break it down, whatever you want to call it. You're able to see how a business goes in one of the big 5. If it does well, you can add it into the other 4. One country, Anthony? Yeah, so if you're running it, you can actually hit the breakdown tab while you're running an ad or after you've killed it and see exactly where the results came from. So you'll be able to see if 2 or 3 of the countries was doing the best. So what I would recommend off that is if you're running it to the big 5, which we'll flip to it in a second. It's on another page, the big 5, those 5 countries, and then you see that the US was the best, just as an example. Duplicate that ad, change nothing except where it's targeting. So run it to just the US and then maybe group together 2 or 3 of the best ones, okay? And then just kill the other original ad. So you want to just slowly move towards what's working, test a few variations of it, and just keep narrowing. Running e-commerce stores is like a funnel. So you start a little bit broad. I target everything a little bit broad, all ages, and I just see what's working. I move towards that. That's it. Move down. Opinion on putting images in the product descriptions and videos instead of text. I would do a video. I don't do pictures. So put a video in the middle. That's a good place to put it. Do you ever end up buying product in bulk and having it shipped to a fulfillment center in the US to speed up shipping times? I've not done that myself. I'm actually in the process of doing it, but it's not going to the US. It's going to Canada, which is going to be interesting. So that's for a brand I'm working on. But I have clients who do that all the time. They have 2-day shipping, which is huge. That helps in the marketing because you can say that. If I do well in the US, can I also sell for at the same time? Yeah, Anthony, especially once your ads are doing well in the US, start testing other countries. Once you have something doing well, not only will you have the cash flow, whether you have the cash right now or not, you're going to be able to go through and just start testing so many variables. And it's going to help you so much. So that's huge. I would definitely recommend, doing that. Just get it working, and then you can start testing everything else. How would I do a video for the keychain? I would go ahead, get some sort of sad music that's like, emotional, and put that over a couple clips of like a car accident, a statistic flashing up, talking about how many people die in a car accident, and like, a relationship, like they were trying to come home to their loved one, and then kind of put that at the end as a solution, a nice reminder, if you will. You could definitely position that correctly. And if you don't know how to do all that editing, you can hire someone who can. It'd cost you $10. What would you optimize in the Facebook ad when you're going from VC to add to cart? What do you mean exactly, Andy? Like age groups and stuff? That's going to be specific to how the VC was doing. So if you're switching, once you're running your ads, that's what you have to look at. You got to break it down and see for that ad because it's different every time. So that's huge. And then picture the item. Yeah, picture, or you can order it, take a video, kind of whatever. Yeah, show the item, use it as a solution. Even if like a lot of the stuff, this is just marketing in general, people are selling a product or a service or an offer as a solution, but oftentimes they make up the problem. So I'm not saying you're going to lie. I'm not saying you need to make up a fake statistic because for what you're doing, and you don't have to, it already exists. But a lot of people invent a problem and then solve it and sell you on the solution for something that doesn't actually exist. So that's just called marketing. That's what a lot of people do. So yeah, if anyone has any other last minute questions, feel free to fire away. What do you do with all these alley stores? You make one start slowing down with the winning product. Personally, I don't actually focus on just regular stores anymore. I just build brands. But that's a great question because I've had a lot of stores that still make them. I'm not actually going to tell the one I was just working on, but there's a lot of different stuff. Capitalizing on trends. I usually like to either sell those, I can sell them, or I just, give them to someone or like a friend, or I just leave them. Because, if something's going to die off and you can make more money focusing your attention elsewhere, just go that route. So it's kind of cool now that I have the e-commerce brand because there's people who want to buy what I'm doing. So if I have a store that, I had my main product run, I can sell the data to them as well. They can use that data for other products. Oh, and this is a great question. Hopefully you'll laugh at the answer. What do you say to people that say dropshipping is dead? I say, look at my bank account. Simple as that. Andre Sapita is 12 to 20 day shipping a problem when dropshipping. No, that's good. So actually, it can be a lot longer than that. I have certain products where they don't have ePacket. It takes 30, 35 days, but 2 weeks is not bad. That's like within like a standard shipping time. So again, as long as you have some sort of email follow-up that helps them, like you got to address, it's called bringing up an unspoken objection. It's very frequently used in sales. That's what that's called. But you're essentially bringing up their order, mentioning how it just got shipped out like a week after, so they're not reaching out to you bothering, which makes it annoying for customer support, especially if you don't have a VA. When you say you're building a brand, you pay suppliers, slap your logo and name on their item. Very frequently, yeah, but building a brand doesn't necessarily mean that. It just means, content on social media. I'm focusing on the long term. How do you keep PayPal from blocking you and keep disputes low shipping time? Again, that's a really great way with the disputes and everything. Having angry customers can and will happen. Someone's going to get angry if you're getting orders. So bringing up that unspoken objection through email. Set up some sort of sequence where 5 days after they order, it lets them know that we were backed up. Boom, their order's out. Let them know it's on the way. And then say we're going to give them an update. Set up something else where it tells them about the product and how fun it's going to be, 12 days. And give them an update before they have to ask for it. If you bring it up, they're not going to ask. They'll just forget about it. They'll be like, oh yeah, they're cool. It's on the way. That's huge. Can you explain how you'd set up a campaign for a random product, go through interest and other targeting? Yeah, Roman, I don't know if you just jumped in here. Make sure to watch the replay if you did. But I don't ever just pick a random product, right? I do my research. I find the product. I go through. I find a ton of interests that work well, create my ad or two, and then I start. So what do I mean by starting? I actually go through, start running it to primarily just the US. I'm running it for VC, might launch an add to cart or two. Testing broad. I go 18 to 65 plus. And I know that was just like rapid fire information at you. But I go through and I start testing all sorts. I just want ads running. So I can then break it down a day or two later and see who's engaging with it. It's huge. How bad do taxes hit you tax season? Oh, and running an e-com store, it's just like any other regular business. You got business income tax. You can deduct the expenses. Once you're making money, I would hire a CPA to just get clear understanding for where you're at, your tax bracket, where you live, all of that. Any discount on your program for the inner circle members? Maybe. Send me a DM on Instagram.
Tell me to come to the event.
Come to the event. That's going to be down here, right? Down
LA.
there? In OC? That'll be LA. Perfect. LA. Do you ever get really upset when you first started and your stores failed? What kept you going? Oh, yeah, I was pissed. But I see how much money people are making. So for me, if I'm just constantly losing money or nothing's working, and I see someone else is doing it, which is usually why I'm doing it, I know I'm doing something wrong. So I never give up because it just means I don't know what I'm doing yet. So you have to figure it out. Colin, you going to be at the event? Probably. We'll see what the travel's looking like. Do it in OC so there's no traffic. Oh, LA traffic, always fun. Uber everywhere, take the chopper. They need more helipads. Perfect. Well, yeah, you guys, I hope that helped. Again, I got a YouTube channel with like 400 plus videos talking about all this stuff. So if you want, more resources on specific stuff, I wanted to focus on the higher level stuff that'll definitely help you make money. I broke it down, explained it. But yeah, YouTube has a lot of other stuff. What's your program called? The newest one we actually just came out with, Ecom Remastered 2.0. That's really, really specifically focused on the marketing because that's what makes you money. It does talk about everything now. So that's huge.
So I went to In-N-Out, and it took a while. It took a long time, In-N-Out, especially on Sunday nights. So I want you guys to comment right now and say, give me 2 or 3 things that you learned today from today's call. Maybe it's on your notes, but like the most value you got. I want comment right now. I want to see it.
Boom. Thank you guys. Of course, Kyle, you're welcome.
Someone says, "Where's Bunt?" He's in his room.
Did you mention the shipping times on the website? If it's going to be longer than like 2 weeks, I would say no, but bring up that unspoken objection on the back end through email once they've ordered. You don't want to get them to hesitate or give them another reason to not buy. So once they buy, then bring it up before they do. That's one of the things. People try and like shy away from bringing that up, but it's like, just bring it up and then they won't. So it's as simple as that. Like for example, I have clients where I run their ads and, I'm not the biggest on like going back and forth with them because I just focus on getting results. Some people don't like that. So I try my best to just bring up something, just let them know what's going on so they don't have to ask me. It's the same thing. Finding the ad first in the product, that's huge. Marketing is everything. Testing. Isaiah's got it down right there.
How many of you would like to see Hayden at the event on Saturday? Say, I want to see Hayden.
Is this coming Saturday?
This Saturday.
Ooh.
Can you make it?
We'll see.
And then we got paintball the next day.
Oh shit.
With
Paintball
everybody
in
here.
LA? Or down, I've never been to the
It's
one down
Hollywood
here.
Sports Park.
Oh, they got
It's in Bellflower. It's like 20 minutes from here.
I'll whoop everyone's ass.
I got shot in the head today, bro, twice. Like, I never get hurt, but it actually kind of hurt today.
Yeah, that stuff stings. Want to see you serve me? Ooh. We'll see.
I want you, bro.
Maybe make a little
I want you,
appearance.
bro. Got a little guest appearance.
Drive up to LA. Yeah, I was just in LA the other week. Crazy. And again, this is why everything I'm doing with e-com is ever changing. Some of the people I was there with, they made $100 million profit last year. Like, the e-com stuff is real, yeah.
That's it?
Yeah. This year's, yeah.
I made that yesterday, bro.
Right? It's crazy, the level of wealth. I want to see, what's the biggest tip for marketing? Number 1 you would give to anyone. It depends on what you're marketing, but marketing in general, there's a difference. This is what most people don't ever think about. It's not that they don't know it, they never think about it because nobody brings it up. Advertising and marketing are 2 different things. Marketing is telling a story. Advertising is like the nitty-gritty stuff with, advertising.
True.
Marketing is what you're plugging into this. Marketing is telling a story.
Someone says, come through so I can shoot a millionaire. You're going to end up getting shot by some millionaires.
Yeah, no, we're very precise. That's why.
Right. So yeah, one more time. If you guys are coming to the event, let me know you're coming in the comments. If you're not coming to the event, I want you to comment right now and say why you're not coming.
If you have a legitimate excuse, that's cool then. You know?
Yeah, I wanna
There's
hear
certain reasons people can't make stuff, but
Some people be like, oh, I gotta watch my dog or pick up dog shit. I can't make it. I'm like,
it's a
what?
far drive or it's a flight. You know?
Yeah.
It's always funny to me too. If people are gonna fly out and like do an event, you know, whether it's paid or free or even buying a course,
Right.
I've never once seen someone overcharge for something. I see people complain about a $500 course or a $5,000 course.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, can you not decipher? You know, first of all, you're not gonna buy a course from someone you know you can't learn from. It's as
Right.
simple as that.
Right.
So you should be able to see that. If not, you're just doing life wrong. But even if you get like 1 or 2 golden nuggets, it's worth it.
Oh,
you know,
for
like,
sure.
Like I don't even charge $5,000 for what I'm teaching. Not
Yeah.
even close. And then there's people who jump in and literally make, you know, one that stood out to me is $4,300 in the first 24 hours.
Right.
Like, you know, there's always an excuse, but you gotta.
Yeah, dude, freaking, like this event, so the inner circle is only $100 a month, then the event is only $100. You know what I mean? Like, pretty much.
You telling me you didn't get $100 of value off here?
Yeah, you know, like we had my buddy Tommy, he came down, he did an Amazon call, and people literally were doing like a couple thousand in sales like a week after the call, just from like an hour and a half, 2 hour call.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people will probably do the same shit with Shopify after today's
using
call.
that, I'm telling you.
You know, especially if they're watching
Right
more of
there.
your content and stuff like that too. So, let's see what some of these reasons. Work.
The event, come to Miami. I'm actually buying a place in Miami very soon.
Dude, who cares about the hurricane? You can just
Take a boat. What are you doing?
yeah, or walk
More
through
water.
it.
That's a plus. That's a
Same.
plus. Hurricane's crazy. I had this one dude who I was working with for a while as a client on his personal brand. This dude's like 45, Kazra. He owns a big credit company. You know, all the places, you know, if you've ever seen in a business where you swipe your card, they have to update those because of security.
Right.
This dude splits his time between Orlando, Florida, and Orange out here in California. And like splits his time, he makes like about $100 million a month, his cut of it. Like at the time when I was talking to him, he was making like 68, he told me.
Yeah.
And he signed a deal with Wells Fargo that pretty much doubled
Fuck.
it. And during the hurricane that hit Orlando, he told me, he's like, come down. I'm like, what? He's like, no, I'm staying here because I bought 3 jet skis and I put them off the trailer sitting in my front yard. So when the water comes, it'll lift it up. He'll go shred them down the street. That's you know,
shit.
a hurricane's no excuse.
Take the jet ski to Cali.
It'd be a long ass drive. Oh my gosh. Model homes, boom. Hey, what's the name of your agency? Rats, Dropshipping stores might be interesting collab. Lowen, hit me up on Instagram, but it's actually on the shirt. Ad season is the name of it.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Someone says, will the replay be added to the replay? Is going to be up on YouTube pretty much. And then it's going to be deleted probably in a couple days and added to the back office. But no matter what, it's going to be in your back office. So yeah. Someone said, hurricane is no excuse. The quote.
Never an excuse. I'm
Hector
not a
says,
big
remember
fan.
meeting you for the first time having a convo at Josh's LAXCOM event.
I think, was that the one I swing through a while back? Remember that?
Yeah,
That was-
and the hills.
Yeah, no, I didn't expect. I was in Hollywood, and you guys were going to like 3 or 4 a.m. And I got done. I was with
was
this girl
nuts.
until like 1 a.m.
That was nuts.
You're like, yo, come through. I'm like, so we were up all night.
Yeah.
And you got an email, we can contact you. Yeah, Chris, hit me up on Instagram. It's just @Bowles, BOWLES, and I'll give you one.
Sarah, you just can go to dropshiptogo.co.co.
Boom.
All right, so I think that's it. We're gonna wrap it up. Again, if you haven't got your ticket for the LA event, get it right now. Pull the trigger. It's less than a week.
Pull it.
Hayden's gonna fucking come. If I have to kidnap him and bring him, I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be dope. There's gonna be a lot of dope speakers there, a lot of people to network with. It's gonna be more of a networking event, if anything. And obviously, you guys are gonna walk away with a lot of value. But we're not gonna sit down and talk your guys' ears off for hours and hours and hours. We want you guys to build genuine connections with people and network with people because that's where the real value is gonna come later down the line. So drink your coffee that morning, whatever you gotta do to get fired up, but be ready to network. And the next day, get ready to get shot if it involves.
Is it like a little 2-day thing?
Yeah. So let's see. Someone says, so we can see the questions being asked during the video. Yeah. Chris, I don't know. I'm not sure if we do that. I see if that's possible. But I mean, you should watch
You'll
the
be able.
video.
I read them before I answered them, so
Okay, cool.
you'll be able to hear it.
Perfect. Yeah, and also too, if you guys are planning on an LA event, I know a ton of you guys are like, getting Airbnbs, and some of you guys getting like penthouses and hotels and doing all that. That's awesome. We're gonna send out the location this week via email, so make sure you check your email this week. We'll probably do a live call, giving you guys updates as well.
And here's what you guys can do. This is what I did almost 2 years ago. Remember the San Diego event, the first one, the very first initial event? I was not making that much money. I rented the Golden 4 when I was down there. Super lit time, like one of the best weekends of my life. But I rented a house. I spent $1,500 that I barely had, which was kind of crazy. But I let 7 other people stay there, and they just paid me for the room. So I actually covered the cost of the house. I stayed for free, met all these people who are now business partners, great friends of mine, and it was like the sickest vibe. We had a big house, the pool, it was nuts. So doing something like that, I'm sure there's a lot of people in here who are going. Instead of spending $200 a night on a hotel, get a house or something where multiple people can be there. And again, like you said, building that actual relationship.
Right.
You know, I don't go into relationships now just wanting to do business. Like that can be a goal, but if that's the only thing, it will collapse. Like everything I build now, it has to be with the right person. That's it.
Someone said full send it.
Yeah, full send.
Yeah, yo, we're gonna bring out all the whips to the event on Saturday. So be ready to take some pictures of some rainbow Lambos and the gold GTR and whatever else we can, get.
I have to see it. Is it gold? Is it rose gold? What is it?
Rose gold. You ever seen it?
Nah, not in person.
Damn,
Saw it
bro.
on
You
Instagram.
gotta go peep it at the
Mine's
Snap
gonna
Garage.
get wrapped soon. Mine's gold, legit gold.
Right.
11 guys for the penthouse.
It's the Ent House.
The end house.
Said bring the M4.
Bring the M4.
We're gonna run it up. Who wants to see Bentayga versus M4?
Ooh. No, I want to do it before you get the tune.
Let's do it.
Mine's not stock. Yours is, but that shit hauls, bro. German cars only. Italian, though. Come on.
That's so funny.
Wish I could drive mine out. It's not an excuse. You can. Get in and go.
If any of you guys want to rent some dope ass cars too while you're out here, go to Envis Motorsports, ENVUS Motorsports. Rent a car. If you tell them you came from the inner circle, you get a fat discount. I think you get like $100 off or something. The car's already cheap. It's one of my business partners for a different business owns the company, but that way you guys can pull up to the event and flex out a little bit if you want.
Yeah. It's crazy. People always ask me how to rent cars. I'm not 25 or not 21.
Yeah.
Even when I was under 18, when I was 16 and 17, I was doing that. It's just connections.
Yep.
That's the thing. It's connections.
That's all it is.
As long as you got insurance and a driver's license. I didn't even have insurance when I rented the M4 down there. I'll
So
give this
bad.
because this is not public. It's kind of a closed group. Down there, I took a picture of my dad's insurance, sent it to my buddy, had him Photoshop my name on it.
Oh,
So
shit.
thinking back, and I let all my homies drive the car. If I had wrecked that
My
thing,
dude was about to be in jail, bro.
oh my God. I would have ditched it and ran.
Freaking insurance fraud.
You know what? It was manifesting. I did what I had to. Here I am. I bought the same car, just nicer. Boom.
That's what's up. All right, guys. So we're gonna wrap it up. I hope you guys got a lot of value from Hayden. You want to go ahead and type your IG.
Oh yeah.
So if anybody wants to follow him, it's pretty simple. It's also in the video bio or whatever below the video.
We're working on getting at Hayden, but for now it's just at Bowles.
Oh, you're trying to get it?
Yeah.
That's dope.
I can get at Hayden Bowles right now, but I think Bowles.
No,
is
Bowles is
sicker.
way better.
That's what I'm saying. The dude's like
You
trying
want
to
it?
sell it to me. I'm
Yeah, you
like-
want it short, honestly.
He's
I want
like,
at
buy me a new
Jet Set.
MacBook, and I'm like, I'll give you $100. I don't even want.
I want at Jet Set. I told the dude I give him 1,000, but he said I want 50,000. I was like, no.
I offered at Hayden 10,000, and I had 700 people from my page comment. I did a giveaway. I said
Oh, shit.
person to blow him up the most. Got him like 700 comments in an hour, and he just blocked me. He's an ass. Go spam at Hayden to give at Bowles at Hayden.
Someone said
What's the
those
place
snitches in
where
here.
rents a car? Envious.
So yeah, go follow Hayden. This is what I want you guys to do actually. I want you guys to go on Hayden's last post and then go on my last post and comment one thing or two things or however many things you want, but at least one thing of value you got from the Inner Circle call. And if you're going to the event, comment on both of our last posts saying, see you next Saturday. So again, comment something you got of value. Make it 2 different comments.
Comment the biggest thing that made the difference for you inside of here, because when you go back through after you learn something and rewrite it, that like affirms it in your brain.
Right.
So
do that on at Bulls, at Jessify, and fuck it, why not do it on at Bunt too? All right. So do
this will be
that.
hella confused.
Yeah, you can copy paste it if you want. But just so you know, like a little accountability thing. So just can we drive to the event? I'm not sure exactly what the
house
driving
and stuff?
situation is going to be. If you're gonna pull out a cool car, then yes. Otherwise, I would say Uber to the event because the cars are just gonna be for like photo shoots and shit.
Yeah, if it's up in the Hollywood Hills, it's tough on street parking, so you can. But a lot of people are like, oh, let me come. I'll just park a block away. Usually that doesn't work.
Yeah, fuck no.
And it says you have to be 25 to rent.
Just tell them I
Call
sent
'em.
you.
Boom. Again,
You
plugs.
good, bro.
Got you. See you next Saturday.
All right, yo. So with that
Boom.
said, we'll see you guys soon.
I appreciate you guys. Hope it helped. And we'll see you.
Time to watch Power.